Let's begin with the least cruel punishment method and work our way up to number 1. Number 11. Iron bull. Imagine being locked inside a metallic structure shaped like a bull, filled with spikes and with an interior heated to infernal levels. This medieval device, which seems like it came straight out of a horror movie, turned every second into unbearable torment. The shrill sound produced by the mechanism resembled the bellowing of an enraged bull, intensifying not only the physical suffering caused by the spikes and heat, but also the psychological terror of the condemned, who appeared to be eternally trapped inside an iron beast with no hope of relief. Number 10. Dungeon of Rats. Deep within the Tower of London, there was a prison so grim it seemed like a nightmare. In a dark, damp cell, the condemned were chained and left at the mercy of starving rats. The location, positioned directly below water level, meant that when the river rose, the rodents would leave their hiding places and invade the cell with uncontrollable fury. In just a few minutes, the prisoner was turned into a moving banquet, suffering from incessant bites that prolonged the agony in a setting of claustrophobia and terror that could last for days or even weeks. Number 9. The rack. This device, resembling a macabre ladder, was designed to turn the condemned's body into a true puzzle of pain. Feet and wrists were tied to a system of pulleys, and torturers slowly turned the ropes to increase the pressure on the joints. The goal was to extract confessions, even if the prisoner ended up saying anything just to relieve the pain. In some cases, the result was a body contorted and marked for life, while in others, the torture led to a tragic end, as happened to those who fought for their beliefs. Number 8. Keel hauling. Intended for unruly sailors, this punishment was as brutal as it was inventive. The condemned, with his arms bound and feet tied with a rope, was thrown into the sea and dragged along the ship's sharp hull. During the journey, contact with shells, barnacles, and other imperfections caused deep cuts and wounds, leaving marks that would serve as painful reminders. A punishment that could result in instantaneous death or prolonged, humiliating agony. Number 7. Crushed by elephants. In 19th century India, a shocking punishment turned the offender into a human carpet. With his arms tied or lying on the ground, the condemned was trampled by trained elephants under the command of a man who exhibited complete control over the animal. In one variation, the condemned's head was placed on a pedestal and crushed by the force of an elephant's foot. In another, he was repeatedly attacked, barely surviving, while bearing scars from a punishment that bordered on the unimaginable. Number 6. Impalement. One of the most grotesque methods, impalement, involved laying the condemned face down and slowly inserting a wooden stake pre-lubricated to ease its passage. The executioner, using a hammer, struck precisely to force the stake through the body, which often emerged in unexpected places, be it the shoulder or even the head. After the execution, the body was left displayed by the roadside, serving as a sinister warning to anyone daring to defy the law. Number 5. Pona Cooley. Sack punishment. This punishment, reserved for those who committed the act of killing a family member, was as bizarre as it was cruel. The murderer was placed inside a leather sack along with animals such as dogs, roosters, and even monkeys, creating a combination of humiliation and physical torture. In some versions, the sack was then thrown into the sea, while in others, the condemned had the option of being displayed in a coliseum, where his body would be torn apart before an audience hungry for violence. Number 4. Rat torture. Two shocking methods employed the fury of rodents to inflict extreme pain. In one version, a rat was placed in an upside-down clay bowl over sensitive parts of the condemned's body, and the bowl's base was heated with torches, causing the animal, in panic, to dig into the flesh. In another, the rat was inserted through a tube into the body, intensifying the torment as the creature desperately tried to escape. Both methods sought to turn the prisoner's suffering into a forced collaboration with the rodent's frantic escape. Number 3. Gibbeting. Iron cage. In this macabre ritual, the condemned were confined in iron cages molded to their bodies and hung at dizzying heights. This public display aimed to turn human misery into a spectacle of decomposition and despair, serving as a terrifying warning to those who might dare disobey the law. The sight of these exposed bodies instilled a primal, lasting fear in the population. Number 2. Scaphism. One of the most elaborate and heinous tortures, scaphism was used by the ancient Persian Empire. The condemned was tied on his back on a sort of raft, with his entire body covered by a sticky mixture of honey and milk. This substance attracted ravenous insects that slowly devoured his flesh, prolonging the suffering for days while the relentless sun intensified the torment, turning the prisoner into a veritable banquet of pain. Number 1. Oubliette, Chamber of Forgetting. At the pinnacle of cruelty, the oubliette was a tiny, claustrophobic dungeon where the condemned was left to his fate, without windows or any possibility of movement. Abandoned to hunger, thirst, and the constant threat of rats, the prisoner experienced slow agony, both physically and mentally, as time became an unyielding enemy, leading him to complete oblivion. And now, which punishment method did you find the cruelest of them all? Comment below, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing.